What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and in this video we'll be talking about TAO, Bittensor, TAO, USD. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. It's the 13th day of June, and we're up. You're up about 18% over the weekend here. Not a lot of volume on this, but I shouldn't say not a lot of volume. You know, here, relatively speaking, let's actually put a line there. You still have 10.5 hours left in this day, too. It's a good chunk of time. You know, from where the volume is right now, I mean, that is more than average. It is more than average, you know, dating back to April there. So it's decent volume. Maybe not enough volume, in my opinion, to represent a move like this, but still, it's decent volume. The last video that I made for TAO, it was the 9th of June, and we were talking about the price going down. I was thinking that we would come down toward this low, if not even a little bit lower, but something below this area here. We didn't make it all the way down there, but I was also talking about moving up to this exact area, 240, 250, maybe even a little bit higher by the end of the month of June. And, well, this is where we are right now. It's exactly where we found support before, where we found support back here, and it's exactly where we're finding resistance now in this lower high kind of context. If we're looking at this from a high overall on the 25th of March to the low on the 6th of June, we are just above the 382 now. Typically, not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but typically you don't find resistance right at the 382. You do wick above it, and then you close below it. So, being this high above the 382, if by the end of the day, if over the next 10 hours, 33 minutes, we do work our way back below 241 to close below there, that would be a signal, in my opinion, that this is a relative high. If we don't do that, if we close above the 382, there's still a chance that tomorrow we could close below there. You know, it is a weekend pump and all. There's enough volume to keep this move going, but if we don't go lower immediately, we could move our way up to the 0.5. We could even move up to the golden ratio zone before heading down lower. Something as high as 263 to 286 is on the table. I want to look at the short-term stuff and see if that's something to be expected, or should we expect immediate resistance here as we were forecasting back here. Let's look at the 1 hour time frame and then we'll zoom out from there. Okay, so 1 hour here. Looking at this, it's a nice move up. It's a good little healthy bit of volume here, relatively speaking, and then tapering off as you're moving higher. I wouldn't say it seems exhausted. It's too new to really form too much of a conclusion on it. Let's look maybe at this here. Let's look at this little high to low. That took us all the way up to the 2272. Okay, it's very common to find resistance to the 2272. Typically, you do wick just above that as well. If we were to go higher, that 260 area is coming back into mind there as well. I don't think that we would push too much higher. We could push higher to 260, but there's a solid chance to move down. From the 2272, it's very common to find support at either the 1886, the 1618, or the 1272. One of those areas. The most likely areas being the golden ratio to the 1272. So that's anywhere from 234 to 226. This would be a very likely move to happen on the way down here. So 250 now, my initial reaction, my initial thought would be that we come down here at least, if not lower. But if we are more bullish, we should hold this 241 area as support. If we can hold 240 as support, even if we hold 234 as support, I suppose there is still a chance that we could move higher from here. But maybe a little bit of volatility to the downside should be expected. 1 hour RSI, very overbought, hitting above the 90. That's a hot reading there. Stochastics are overbought, been overbought for a second there. MACD looks straight. All of it's bullish. There's no signs of reversal here that I can see. If it's just a straight pump and dump, which does happen, I'm trying to find an example of that. You know, maybe something like this, pump down, pump up, dump down. Something like this, you know, you don't really get signs of reversal before it starts to turn around, but you could continue moving higher. You could dump off from here. My initial thought is that, yes, we're at a point of resistance. We probably do move back down, and it's completely possible that this is a lower high in this overall trend, and that if we do move higher, it's not by much, or we don't move higher at all, and that the next target to really consider would be lower prices. Even if we find support at various areas on the way down, we're just working our way back down to lower prices. That really could be the outcome from this area here, so just be aware of that. 4 hour time frame overbought as well, hitting the 85 level here. Pretty impressive, pretty high. The last time that we were this high on the RSI was over here, and that was actually just the halfway point between this low and this high of this move overall. So again, you could continue to move higher. It depends on how you consolidate. It depends on what we do over the coming days, really. I'm open to switching my perspective to a more bullish perspective depending on how we behave over the coming days. But if we do move back below, what is it? Maybe let's take an overall fib for this. If we were to move back below like 200 and let's say 220, 230, if we move back below 230, I would say that's the high on a 4-hour closing basis or higher time frame. Stochastics are overbought. That's nice. The MACD's crossing above the zero. All good things. All good things all at once. It's nice to see. Daily time frame. The RSI, in my opinion, does look as if it's in a lower high trend. Right? You can see it here. You've got your high right there. You've got lower highs right there. Coming up like this. You know, if we close today green here or higher, we're right in that pocket of resistance on the RSI, and we can certainly come back down. We look at this with the stochastics. And the stochastics, the blue line is far separated from the orange line. Typically, that deviation, that separation between the two, does mark relative highs as well, especially on the daily time frame. And the MACD crossing green is nice, but it could be a false cross. We've seen false crosses to the upside, to the downside before. False crosses to the downside, false crosses to the upside here. So more common whenever the oscillators are further away from the zero. It's definitely more common to happen. And then, of course, just being at this area where we found resistance, or where we found support at before, and now we're finding resistance. Let's look at this real quick, this fib as well, from a low to a high. Golden ratio support. Typically, from the golden ratio zone, you do find resistance in the 382.5 area. So the highest I'd give us really would be 260. It could be the topping area would be 260, but it's completely fine to find resistance here as well. It's either here or there, but I don't expect it to move up too much higher. How much of a move would that be from here to 260? %3.8%. It's not worth it, in my opinion. Not financial advice, not a financial advisor, but I would get out here if I bought down here. I would not buy here if I was thinking about buying. This would not be the kick in the pants I needed to buy. There's just not enough volume, not in my opinion, to back this move up, and I do think it'll come crashing down over the coming week, if not over the coming weeks. But again, that's subject to change. In 2 days' time, I could make a whole different video with a whole different attitude, depending on how we consolidate, if we consolidate at all. But if not, then lower we go. And when we do go lower, the expectation there, and we don't know if this is the high yet. It's not completely appropriate to measure this. It could be at 260. If the high is at 260 or higher, these low targets will actually be lower. But still, I think, this is just a rough idea, 167 to maybe 150 or lower. And this makes a lot of sense, this area here, because that's where we found support before, right here at the golden ratio. That's kind of where we found support before as well, in this kind of lower area. So it makes a lot of sense. That'd be our next stopping point before seeing another bit of recovery and then coming down lower. Overall, I do believe TAO will go below $100. I do believe that we are going to see this thing below $100 in time. So again, if you're holding this for the long term, this might be a good getting out point. If you bought down here and you never took profits and you just kind of rode it all the way down, now you want to wash your hands clean, this is a good point to get out. Maybe you bought up here, you were in the red, now you're in less red. It's a good time to kind of mitigate those losses. Maybe you bought and you're trading and you're doing well for yourself, and it's a good time to sell and take profits. However you want to skin it. In the short term, we are probably going to work our way below 100. When I say short term, I mean by the end of this year. In the long term, going into next cycle, like 2028, 2029 status, we're going to be at new all-time highs. It's going to be fantastic. In the long term, if you want to hold, you're going to do well, but there's going to be pain through that doing well, but before doing well. You're probably going to go below $100 in time. I made that call back here. I made that call back here. I made that call here, here, all over the place. I'm going to continue to make that call. RSI gives me bearish vibes. Stochastics give me bearish vibes. The MACD is a little bit hopeful, but still bearish overall. I don't think there's really anything else to talk about. Weekly time frame. RSI is neutral. It's not really a whole lot to go off of. Stochastics are bearish, and the MACD is bearish. This is a bearish MACD. Yes, you're flipped green, but here you are in this area right below the zero, looking like you're finding resistance here. I mean, you've done that before, and both of those times, right here, that was a relative high, you move down, right here, that was a relative high. You moved down a lot, and you actually saw a lower low overall. And being that we do have lower highs overall here and a flat base, I would assume that this next attempt we really could break through. So I've got nothing else for you guys. I would just heavily advise caution if you're considering to buy here. I would very much encourage selling if you were thinking about selling. That's my opinion. That's not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I strongly believe in that opinion. I have a lot of conviction in that opinion. So nothing else to say. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all. Take care. Bye bye.